On this edition of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast, we preview a couple of major events happening in our province this weekend. Welcome to episode 43 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. Mother Nature sure is keeping everyone on their toes this year in Alberta. Plenty of rain has fallen over the last few weeks, putting a damper on a few baseball games. This weekend was a big one on the calendars for many, so I guess we'll have to see whether the forecast turns out to be right or not. If the sun does come out, it'll make for some great conditions in both Okotoks and Edmonton for a couple of major events. And we'll start in Okotoks, where the Baseball Canada Women's Invitational Championships are being held. Games begin today, being Thursday, and the medal round is slated for Sunday. Performances this weekend also set the tone for possible invites to try out for Canada's national women's team. Alberta coach Drew Boyer took a little time between practices this week to talk about the preparations and the hope to improve on last year's bronze medal finish. Drew, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Walk us through the team that you are expecting to field for the Invitational here and what you're expecting out of this group of girls.
Well, for the past 3 years, we've had, for the most part, the same group of girls each year. We do have some new faces this year. We got some really good rookies coming up and a really good, solid group of veteran presence with this club. As far as expectations goes, the last 3 years, we've medaled at this tournament. So we've been right up with each of these teams trying to compete for a gold medal. So at the end of the day, the expectations is to shoot for that gold medal. And with the group we have this time around, I don't see why not.
When you look at that aspect of it and being on the podium for the last few years here and being the hosts this year, does that put a little bit of a target on the back? Are you feeling that at all? Or is it one of those things where, hey, let's just go out and play ball?
It's definitely one of those things. Just let's go out, play ball. Let's have fun. Let's enjoy the tournament. Yeah, we are the hosts. I don't see any sort of really pressure on this team to do anything above and beyond, just to go out there and compete. And like I said, as long as they enjoy themselves, we have a really good group this year. And as long as they stick to the fundamentals and do what they're capable of doing, I think they'll do all right.
You are missing one piece of the puzzle that's been around for quite a while, and that being Nicole Lachansky. How does that change the demographic of your team? And beyond that, is who are you expecting to step up and be part of that leadership group that maybe wasn't there before?
Well, like I said, yeah, we do have a very good veteran presence that's been around for the last 3-4 years. Absolutely, it is. It's really hard to lose a player like Nicole, who's been the heart and soul of this of Team Alberta for the longest time. But players like Kelsey Lawler, her sister Haley Lawler, Madison Willen, Carrie Jesperson, Sam Ostrom, we got some veteran presence and some girls that can really step up as leaders on this team.
Do you get the feeling at all that this team is going to be a defensive-minded team, an offensive-minded team, an all-around good team? What do you think is going to set yourselves apart from the competition?
We really are well-rounded. I think we have a really good group of hitters and a really solid defensive core behind us. I think as long as our pitching comes to play, we throw strikes, we work ahead, take care of the little things, I see us as one of the top teams in this tournament.
Talk a little bit about some of those young players that you're bringing into the fold, and maybe some that may not be overly, may not have the grandeur of a Kelsey Lawler or a Nicole Lachansky or a Madison Willen, but talk us through some of those who maybe don't get the press. Maybe they might be the rising stars of tomorrow.
Yeah, so I think we got 4 or 5 first years coming in. Ellie Jesperson, obviously, she played in the tournament last year with the Team Canada prospect team. So she's been in this tournament before. She knows what to expect. Some of the other names, Maddie Courtley, Helena Appleyard, Haley Sidor, and Sydney Moore. Those are the other rookies. They're young, but they're here for a reason. They're really good ball players, and that's why they're on this team. And I think with our veteran presence, they'll definitely help steer them in the right direction.
This is always an interesting tournament to watch because it is so quick moving, and you've got basically 4 days of ball to play, but you get that couple of weeks leading in. You just kind of get a chance to mold together at the right time. And as you mentioned, you guys have done well so far over the last few years with you at the helm. What's been the key to success? What has allowed for the team to be as competitive as it has been?
I think the biggest thing is that for the most part, these girls are playing with each other year-round. They play together in the Midget AA Baseball Alberta League. So to have them being able to play ball every week, they're practicing with each other. I think that's the biggest thing that helps lead up to this tournament. They're not just showing up for a practice or two before the games start and going right into it. They've been with each other for the last few months, and that's kind of the biggest thing is how they've been around each other.
When you look at what you're saying and what your message has been to that crew in the clubhouse, what has been message number one for you heading into first pitch?
I'd say my one and only message is to go out there, have fun, enjoy yourselves. Enjoy the experience that this tournament has. You get to play against the top players in Canada at the women's level, and really that's all there is to it. If they go out there, they have fun, they take care of the little things, they'll do all right. They'll put themselves in a really good position at the end of this tournament.
On a personal level, what does it mean to you to have been able to have been a part of this program and to watch the development of some of these young ladies?
Oh, it's been great. It's quite a bit different from coaching an all-boys team. I think the one thing that stands out with coaching the women's team has been just their drive to learn the game and get better day in and day out. I'm not saying the boys aren't like that, but the girls really buy into what you tell them and what you're teaching them. And that's been really humbling for me as a coach.
Is that kind of I always liken it to a chip on the shoulder, and I mean it in a totally positive way, is that, hey, I've got something to prove, therefore I'm going to go out and do it.
Yeah, no doubt. Biggest thing for me would be with the chip on the shoulder is seeing Ontario kind of win this tournament every year. So I think for me as a coach, I'd like to kind of dethrone them, and we have the right group to do it. We have a really good, like I said, veteran presence, young group of rookies, and as an overall team, I think we're going to be there and we have a chance to do it.
Final question for you. How excited are you to not only be part of this team again, but also to be able to do it in your own backyard? You're doing it in Alberta. You know that you might have a little bit of a home field advantage because, let's face it, the Okotoks fan base, they love their baseball, whether it's dogs or otherwise, and you know that they're going to be out in full force.
Yeah, it's amazing to be playing here at home. We got to host it in Red Deer back in 2016, I believe, and the amount of support from fans and family was just amazing to see, and I can't imagine being any different down here in Okotoks where they love their baseball.
Looking forward to seeing your team on the field this weekend. Thanks so much for joining us on the podcast, Drew.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
We now head up to the provincial capital where the Western Canadian Baseball League is hosting its first ever All-Star game at Remax Field. The teams were unveiled late Wednesday afternoon. The West Division will be coached by Okotoks Dogs skipper Mitch Schmidt, while the East will be headed up by Weyburn's Phil Curtis. It's been an interesting start to the 2019 campaign thanks to some smoke and to some rain. And to give us a little State of the Union address, we chatted with Commissioner Kevin Kavami. Kevin, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Heading into All-Star Weekend, obviously a chance for teams to catch up, talk a little bit about the season thus far. From your standpoint, weather aside, how have you viewed this start to the 2019 campaign?
We've had a pretty good. The first half is just I think we're right about the first half mark for most of the teams, and the balance in the league seems to be pretty even across the board. Coming down to pitching, anybody can beat anybody any given day. With a couple of teams that are struggling quite a bit. Other than that, it seems like the league's fairly balanced.
That's been one of the things that I've noticed is you're starting to see, especially in the standings, anybody can win any game. And what that allows for is a little bit of competition, a little bit of rivalry to show up. And certainly that's not a bad thing for in the case of drawing more butts into the seats.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we have those games where they get out of hand and fans don't enjoy those on either side, both the winning or the losing side. They're looking for those nice competitive, intense type games where both teams are playing well, and we're getting more of those throughout the season. So that's a good thing for the league.
There's obviously been a little bit of excitement as well around some of the offensive numbers. We've seen a few multi-home run games. We saw even one last night in Lethbridge where Caleb Warden hit 3 dingers and 10 RBIs in a game. I mean, there's been some pretty standout moments so far this year already.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some, like you said, some great offensive performances, and we've had some really good pitching performances as well. And, I remember there was at least one 1-0 game, and some 2-0 games and that in the league, and then you have those ones that nobody seems to be able to shut anybody down, and it ends up 16-14 or something like that. So there's definitely, you never know what you're going to get at a WCBL game.
Looking ahead to this weekend and the All-Star festivities, take us back to the beginning on this one and what really prompted the idea of being able to showcase some of the best in this league?
Well, a lot of the summer college leagues do an All-Star event. It's kind of a tradition, and we haven't had one since, maybe 2005. And the conversation probably started last summer with some of the governors, batting that idea around, and then actually it was Pat Cassidy in Edmonton that brought a proposal to the league to do the event for 2019 and 2020, and the governors unanimously bought into the concept. We put parameters around the event, and then the prospects have been running with it, selling the advertising, suites, tickets to the game, and building up the enthusiasm leading up to Sunday.
It's got to be an exciting process to go through because you've got that anchor team for a couple of years. You can work out some of the kinks, and then, as the league develops and as the concept develops, you can move it to different locations and take some best practices and really run with it. Especially, you've got the Matt Stairs coming in and the different guys, and especially with the history of the sport here in Western Canada, you'll be able to bank on that a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to be I think they've done a great job for the first year. Everything from, announcing the logo to, getting some sponsors behind it, getting, like you say, Matt Stairs to come in and be kind of the ambassador for the All-Star game. And then, of course, the most important thing is the talent we're going to put on the field. Like the East and West teams are made up of 24 players each. And they're the best talent we have across Western Canada, and they're really quality ball players that are going to be on the field on Sunday and showing off their skills.
Walk us through that selection process. How did that all work, and how did those teams come to fruition over the last couple of days here?
Well, the process had been in place for a while now. Basically, what we did is we put a deadline date on the standings, and the teams that were in first place on that date, and I think it was June 30th, if I'm remembering off the top of my head. Whatever the first place teams on those days in the East and West Division, they would be automatically the manager of the respective division teams. So Okotoks, they jumped out to a fairly significant lead in the West. So Mitch Schmidt from the Dogs, and the East actually came down to the last day where Weyburn, I believe they were off that day, and if Regina had won their game on the 30th, they would have been the team. And actually, the Lethbridge, it was Regina at Lethbridge, and Lethbridge pulled off the win that night against Regina, so it dropped Regina to second place, and Weyburn got the nod for the manager of that team. So that's how the managers were selected, and then the teams were asked to nominate anywhere between 3 and 6 of their players that they felt were deserving to be nodded as all-stars in their respective division. And then the managers, after they were selected, they selected the rest of their coaching staff from both their team and another team in their division. And then the coaches got together, saw all the nominations, and there was, just under 40 nominations in each division, and they whittled it down to a roster of 24, which we released yesterday.
What are you looking forward to the most coming into this weekend and being able to showcase your league?
Well, I think that just the talent on the field and the fact that all 12 teams are going to be represented in the same location at the same time, and the opportunity for them to share stories and then compete on the field for the promotion and the marketing of the league is going to be it's just going to be a great event. And like I said, Edmonton has done an incredible job with this, and we're really looking forward to the game itself. Not to mention the home run derby and the opportunity to visit with the players, and then the other special little things that they're doing aside, with mat stairs and things like that. So I don't know if there's one thing I'm really looking forward to other than the experience of the whole event.
I know everybody involved is looking forward to this weekend, whether it is the players, the coaches, the fans, even us here at Alberta Dugout Stories. I know Ian is heading up to Edmonton to take in the festivities. Kevin, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast and giving us an update on what's to come this weekend.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
We'd like to thank Drew and Kevin for stopping by on the podcast this week, and as always, a big thank you to you for downloading and listening. You'll want to subscribe to the podcast as we have another couple of episodes ready to go for next week, including another look back at the Pioneer League's days here in our province and a full rundown of the WCBL All-Star Weekend. As I mentioned, Ian Wilson is heading up to Edmonton for the festivities. Until then, thanks again for all of your support of Alberta Dugout Stories.